Guys, Mr. Sonnenberg here, or Sonny, or Lil Mike. This is for Biology 20 students still studying Unit 1, Energy Flow Through the Biosphere. And today what we're really going to be talking about is consumers and levels of consumers. We know that producers are the ones that obtain the energy from the sun. So these are our plants and such. And they obtain that energy, and then now we need to talk about how does the energy move. It's entered the biosphere, but now how is it going to move through the biosphere, and also what processes occur there. So consume means we're going to take in. Okay, so producers store the energy, we consume the energy, or organisms or species consume that producer, therefore taking in the energy, but we only use a certain percentage, and we'll talk about that later on. But we're talking about levels of consumers. So basically, the thing with consumers that we need to know is we cannot, and we are consumers, we cannot obtain our energy from the sun. Only producers can do that. And so what we need to do to get that energy is we gotta, or sorry, I shouldn't use the word gotta, I'm a teacher. We have to feed on producers. So we don't necessarily, as we can obtain our energy through various forms, but we have specific species that eat these producers, and then we also have other levels of consumers that we're going to talk about coming up. So the first level of the consumer is the primary consumer. This is going to be your herbivore. And basically what they do is they eat producers, so they eat plants. And so they're at the very base, okay, at the very base, and we will work through the levels. But primary consumers, that is going to be number, ooh, where's my pen? There it is. Number 1 at the low level. Primary consumers, the herbivores, and here's a picture of a dude. Alright, moving on. Then we have the secondary consumer, and that's going to be your carnivore. But they mainly eat, and remember the word mainly, it doesn't mean they're exclusively eat herbivores, but they mainly eat herbivores. So take a look at the picture again, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But those are your carnivores. Okay, carnivores are meat eaters, herbivores are plant eaters. Secondary consumers are the carnivores, they eat the herbivores in most cases. Then third is the tertiary consumers, and these are the organisms that feed on other carnivores. So there are various levels, there can be various levels of consumers, and there's kind of that higher order, so you would expect some might be at the top of the food chain as opposed to at the bottom because of maybe physical features and behavioral and structural adaptations and such that they possess. Now the last one is decomposers, and these suckers are extremely important. Because what they do is they basically take the nutrients that are maybe trapped in dead organisms or bodies of dead organisms and such, and they release them. So these nutrients can be used for other processes. So really what you want to think of them as is recyclers. They recycle these nutrients. And without decomposers, a lot of these nutrients would be trapped forever. So they're extremely important. Anyways, what I want you to remember from this screencast is that there are the levels of consumers. This is another way that energy is transferred through the biosphere because species eat species. So herbivores are going to consume producers. But then what eats them or what consumes them? Well, that's our that's our secondary consumers, and that's going to be our carnivores, but they are going to eat herbivores. Then we have our tertiary consumers. So we have levels of consumers, and then we have our decomposers that break down dead organisms, and they release the nutrients back into the environment. So it's important to know these various levels, and hopefully you have an understanding of it. If you don't, go back, you can write notes, you can read things, you can watch other videos on YouTube if you want to try to understand this, but it's a pretty basic concept. I think you'll be fine. Alright, thanks for tuning in. That's it for me. See ya.